All right, boys. So I got this guy recommended to me, Xillin, in one of the comments on my videos because we watched the Narc video of the Ashes of Creation drama. They said he had a pretty good take. I just wanted to take a look at it real quick.
So during this video today, I'm going to tell you guys something that I don't think I've ever told anyone. I don't think I've ever even said it out loud before. It's kind of a personal thing, and we'll get to that. I do want to kind of give you guys just a very brief synopsis of what exactly is going on here, because I know some of you guys don't follow stuff as closely as
Right.
somebody like myself who's complete.
Not everybody's as interested in the drama. This is going to be a more like even a niche community in the Ashes of Creation community. Some people just want the information. Some people just want to get that and get out. But the people that are following the actual content creators, that those are the people involved with this. So
Completely wrapped up in everything that's going on with Ashes at any given time. There are two content creators that almost all of you have heard of because you follow some Ashes content, that being Narc and Jahlon. They're two of the biggest creators right now.
straight up, I've probably fallen to the category of I just want to get the information and get out. The only reason I even knew about this drama, obviously, is because it happened to Narc, and the person I get my information from and get out for Ashes of Creation is Narc. I didn't actually know about Jahlon, actually, till the drama came out. So I did look up some of his stuff. He he's he seems like a negative Nelly a lot of the time. I don't want to like comment too much on the guy just because he can do him, and that's maybe his content style, and I'm not a judgy person, but he definitely seems like a negative Nelly. So I don't know if I would personally enjoy watching that. I'm more of an informative type enjoyer. I like to get a clear picture of what's going on and then make my own decision based off that, and not have somebody else try to influence how I feel about it.
Now, and they were two of the biggest creators when I first got into the space. 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. God, I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah, time's flying, brother.
So these guys are kind of titans in our space, and more or less, Narc did a live stream reaction on his Twitch channel of a video that was put out by Jahlon, of Jahlon reacting.
Yo, dog, I heard you like reacts, so I reacted to your react while you react to my react.
To the Ashes of Creation Freehold live stream update. So the live stream update that just happened, and he looked at it for like 3 minutes and then turned it off and wasn't impressed, and I probably talked some trash about him. I don't know. And that caused Jahlon to do a damn DMCA strike takedown of that video for Narc, and they gave him a strike on Twitch, which makes it where he can't ever be in the partner program unless somehow.
Yeah, and we talked about this yesterday, man. That, like, I personally think that's just, like, so jacked up. Like, your impact, I've already talked about this at length, but you're impacting the community that's already niche in itself with one of the copyright striking and basically trying to inhibit your competition. But you shouldn't even look at it as competition. You should just look at it as another bigger community member. You're inhibiting basically what should be your friend of providing more content and trying to grow the space, and that's not cool. Like, it's just not cool.
Manages to get that strike reversed. It was a pretty dirty thing to do, and if you've been a person who's been involved in my community at all for very long, especially if you've hung out in my Discord very much, I don't make any bones about how I feel about Jahlon. I remember when I first started making videos, as I said a minute ago, he was like a titan in the space, and so I knew who he was. He was making those Ashes 101 videos.
I mean, if I had to guess, just off the short stuff I've seen of Jahlon, he probably thinks he's probably a bit of a negative Nelly too, but because he's so big in the space, he's just like, whatever. Like, at least Ashes of Creation stuff is getting out there, so that's all that really matters, right?
I watched them to learn things about the game, and one day I was on Twitch and I saw him live and thought, oh cool, that Jahlon guy's on, and I jumped into his stream and he's like really berating somebody for disagreeing with him, and it wasn't even like a hard disagree, like being mean. He was like just destroying this guy for no reason, and I remember leaving thinking, God.
Oh, God. I don't like that kind of stuff. Like, if somebody comes into a stream, disagrees with you, like, you can have the disagreement, have that conversation, and, make it respectful to a degree, right? But if there was, like, name calling, I need this clip. I would need this clip for context to make a
Golly,
further...
he's having a bad day. And whatever it was, a few days later, a week later, a month later, whatever, I happened to be on Twitch. He happened to be live, and I thought, oh, let me go, maybe he's having a better day today. And so I go click on his channel, and he's in there, he's like berating somebody for disagreeing with him. And it wasn't even like a hard disagree. It was just kind of hey, I don't think that's how it's going to go down. And so I started going, oh, that might be this guy's MO. And then over the course of like the next, 4 or 5 months, I stopped in maybe 10 or 15 times, and every single time I stepped in, he was just destroying somebody for disagreeing with him. And I'm like, good God.
Yeah, and I've talked about this in a lot of my videos too. Nobody likes to be told that they are wrong. Everybody's a special little creation from God, and they have opinions, and their opinions are the most right. So to them, their opinions are fact, and it's law. And when you get a platform, those thoughts become exponential in growth. So, and I'm not applying this to everybody, it's not a blanket, but for the majority of the people, it's hard to separate yourself from thinking that your idea is maybe not the most right opinion, right? I mean, he's obviously talking about Ashes of Creation. The game's not even out yet, so you could argue all of this is just speculation with, all of his opinions, but what he says to him is fact. It's going to happen. He's doomed out on certain things already. So people like that content. It's captivating. People like watching people mentally unravel on stream on 4K television. I think people enjoy that shit. And, if that's what you're into, that's awesome. I mean, it's content. People are going to consume it. But,
Odd. And then I found out he's a teacher. I'm like, this guy's a teacher? And that's how he, when somebody disagrees with him, that's how he treats them? Yeah. Can you imagine that guy?
Because, like I said, disagreeing, right? Discourse in a community is what keeps this whole thing alive. But it's like proper discourse. So you need I need people to tell me when I'm out of place. Xillin needs people to tell him when he's out of place or when he has a wrong opinion, or maybe give him a different way to think about it. That's what makes him a better person. That's what makes the community better as a whole. We need that. And you don't want to shut it down. You don't want to publicly humiliate people for trying to do that.
As your teacher, that's crazy, Yeah. So I stepped away from following any of his content. I don't stream, I don't watch him on stream.
Hit him with the unsubscribe. Oh no.
Or anything like that. I just said, okay, this guy's, he's toxic. He's a crap to people. I mean, that's the only way to put it. And over the years since then, every once in a while somebody will bring up Jahlon, and I just roll my eyes like, that guy, no. Yeah. It's funny because in his videos you'd come away thinking, oh, he's a nice guy, he's informative, whatever. But if you ever watch his live streams, that facade is shattered immediately, right? So
for anybody, I mean, people that follow Ashes of Creation probably don't even know or play League of Legends really. But there was a streamer, his name was Hashinshin, and he's very similar in that's who this guy reminded me of. This guy named Hashinshin. Basically kind of toxic, very negative Nelly, but people did watch him for a while, thousands of viewers, to basically watch this guy devolve into subspecies of human. And it was, people ate that shit up, but I don't think it did anything for the League of Legends community good. It was just basically watching the person lose it versus furthering the game itself. So I think what he's doing is getting a lot of viewers in the short term, doing this, but people will get bored of that. People eventually just want to see somebody that's going to help the gaming space, help the game that they like, and get them the news that they want. That's ultimately what people want.
What I got to thinking about when I got home today, there's a video on my channel that is, I think it's called something like "How I Became the Leader of a Progression Rating Guild Without Knowing What Progression Rating Was." And it's the story of my guild in Star Wars: The Old Republic and how it all happened and all that stuff. And it's a pretty interesting video. And if you're interested in that type of thing, go check it out. Basically, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I got thrown into it, and we ended up being pretty successful. One of the questions that gets asked of me pretty frequently, and it got asked a lot during the time that I released that video, is, well, what happened with that guild? It was so successful. What happened? And, I give all kinds of excuses. Oh, these 5 or 6 players, started to get real lives and they kind of went away. Or, BioWare stopped releasing as much content, so interest in the game faded, or whatever all these excuses are. But there's a truth that I know, and I've known to be true for years now, and I've never said it out loud. I've definitely never told anybody. I killed the guild. I killed the guild with my own arrogance, by being a piece of crap, by berating people who disagree with me. I killed the guild. There's no other way to put it. I remember one time I got called in to go help a different guild, but it was a very close guild. We were all raided together. The raiding community is pretty small in Star Wars: Old Republic anyway, so I got called in to help them with a specific boss that they were struggling with, this Corruptor Zero, if you ever played it.
That's big for him. Massive W coming to realization with that. So that's really hard to admit to yourself. So being a leader, and this is universal in the sense of, you're doing it in business, you're doing it just like in a team sport, in a guild, right? There's something I learned about being a leader, right? Is how would you want that person to talk about you if they at dinner? So when somebody has a spouse or a family and somebody says, "Hey, how was your day?" Who's the first person they're going to talk about? And obviously this is a guild, it's a little bit different than a job, but the sentiment, I think, is still the same. It's like, how do you want people to talk about you when you're not around? And if it's, wow, like, that guy's an asshole, is that really how you want to conduct yourself? Is that how you want to further who you are as a person? And I think critically about that before I say almost anything, because, I'm a small YouTuber. This guy's, he's obviously a little bit bigger than me, and I'm sure you're coming to realization with this. He obviously thinks about that too. It's like, what's the example he wants to set for his community? For all of us, right? And I've said this in a lot of other videos, is nobody cares about you individually as a person, but what does matter is how you interact and how you conduct yourself on a day-to-day basis. Because although nobody cares about your little ideals or whatever it is, what leaves an impact on them is how they felt about you, the overall feeling they had about you, and that's going to move into how they treat people in the future. It affects the decision making, whether it makes them more suspicious of other people or defensive. It culminates into like this one big cesspit. So if you want your community to be good, or if you want the people you talk to be good to them, and you'll receive that same treatment. So that's really big for him, admitting that. Like, I think that's awesome. Like, good for him.
On hard mode. And I went in, and at that time I was so used to being the raid leader that, like, calling out mechanics on over Discord or over what had been TeamSpeak at that time, over TeamSpeak was second nature to me. So I was doing that, and I helped this guild get through that boss that they had been struggling with. It was a raid group, it was 16 people who raid together consistently, and I came in and I helped them. And then they went to the last boss of that raid, which the name of that boss is Brontes, Dreadmaster Brontes, and it's a pretty hard fight. Now it's easy now, but back then it was a pretty hard fight, and there were a few mechanics that I've always had
And you had that bitch that stood in the fire. Oh, he was your dumb employee. I'm just kidding.
Real, like,
Tommy J. Jones standing in the goo again. Oh my God. I'm going to take him to the private Discord room. He's getting a spanking. I get it. I
don't know how to explain it. Like it baffles my mind that there are people who can't perform this extremely simple mechanic. And I remember telling these people in their team speak, it was one of me and 15 of them, that the only reason you die to this mechanic is because you're an effing idiot.
Woo! He's going full gamer words on these kids. You know what? I think all of us have had moments like that where we just completely lose it, and it comes out in a different way, person to person. I'm definitely a flamer myself. I sometimes, and I just have to like reel it back in and be like, whoa, like maybe that wasn't chill. But yeah, that's definitely funny. I know. I mean, we've all played MMOs. We all watch Ashes of Creation stuff, so we've all played different MMOs. We know the guy. You know the guy that keeps messing up. He wasted an hour and a half of the raid's night, and you want him to know that he messed up. It's to some degree.
Told these people that, and I think back on that, I'm like, good God, dude, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I was doing the same thing to my raid teams, to my guildies. I was berating people. I remember we had a member named Sheep. He's a good friend of mine. Like, we still talk every once in a while. If he lived close, I would hang out with him. He's a good friend. But I remember just being like, all you have to do is not stand in this one spot. How stupid do you have to be to where you can't just not stand in this one spot? Like, really aggressive and mean, and it's like not necessary. And I did. I killed this guild. People slowly left one at a time. Yeah. People would step out of the raid team. Every time we'd get a good raid team together, I think because I knew how talented the raid team was, I was even more of a jerk because I was really trying to push people to push forward and get the content done. And then, of course, somebody would leave because they didn't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, and like I said, right, so how do you want to be talked about when you're not around? And I guarantee you, when he was not around, they're like, wow, that guy, kind of a dick. I mean, I know we're pushing, but there's a different way to say it. So, I mean, he's right in the sense that maybe it wasn't cool behavior. I mean, this is why it's hard for me to play competitive games with my friends because I get very into it. And I know myself. I'm going to be toxic about it. So it's like, I don't want to do it, please. Just don't make me. I'm going to be mean. I know I'm going to be mean. I need to make people sign waivers before they play games with me. You know what I'm saying?
The toxic asshole yelling at people. That was me.
Yeah.
I let my own, I look at it like I got too big for my own britches. Let my own arrogance overcome me. I definitely let the fact that I was capable of doing this thing that a lot of other people weren't capable of doing, like, control my ego. And I got out of control. I really did. Mm. And I killed the guild. I killed a whole bunch of... I didn't kill my friends. I killed the friendships with a whole bunch of people. There's no telling where I would be.
That's what the guild is, though, right? I mean, it's the friendships. It's the boys. And that's the core. The guild is just a thing on a screen. But the thing that matters is the relationships you build with those people. And... and that's what you have to remember is, like, there's a person on the other end of that screen.
Right now, where that guild might be right now, how many more friendships and close people I would have in my life right now if I hadn't done that. But I did do it, and I realize it very clearly. And there are even sometimes now, whenever I realize I'm doing that, like, there's another content creator. He doesn't make a lot of content for the game right now, and he was hanging out in my Discord a lot. And then one day we were having a discussion, and I got, like, heated about it. About my side of it, and it was like I didn't need to do that, and now he don't hang out in my Discord anymore. He just stopped. Like that day, he stayed in the channel for a few hours, but then he left and he never came back.
Yeah.
And so I still do it to some degree today, but it's something that I'm really trying to put a check on and understand that that's something that I do. I can't let my ego get
good for him. That's awesome.
Get me carried away and let me get too big for my britches. It's so funny that I thought I was the man, and I was like. Decent raid leader of a pretty good raid.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the most... You have to find a way to humble yourself. And, no matter what happens, to me, like, whether I get a lot of views on a YouTube video and I feel a little pompous, I just have to remember, bitch, you ain't shit. You ain't shit. And I mean, I don't mean that like in an awful, like a bad way. Like, this guy seems like a good guy, but he found a way to humble himself, and he reminds himself. And I think we all need to do that from time to time when we get that pompous feel. So,
Rating guild on a game where rating isn't really relevant on the smallest server of that game. It's like, you're nothing, dude. You're a nobody. Why are you getting too big for your britches? But yeah. I did.
You ain't shit.
And I think that's what's happened with Jahlon.
I got you, brother.
Especially when you're smart. When you're a smart person, it can be really hard to understand how somebody can't get something, or how they can't arrive at the same logical conclusion that you've arrived to after following.
Bro, you know what I think of whenever I think of this? Does anybody have parents over the age of 60 plus, right? Have them, just tell them to Google something. Tell them to Google something and watch the madness unfold as they try to figure out how to use a keyboard and mouse. It's not that they're stupid, it's just that maybe they don't know like that specific thing as well. And it's the most frustrating thing, especially when you understand it. It's so frustrating. And most of you probably you're at the at-home IT team, right? It's so frustrating. That's the closest thing to compare it to. And people, you know, they have their strengths, they have their weaknesses, and you have to keep that in check. But I'm also human. You're also human. This guy's also human. You know, anger's gonna get the best of us every now and then. But it's how we check that anger and deal with it that matters.
Doing all the steps, that can be really difficult sometimes. And if you have an ego at all while you're doing that, it can come off really, really badly. So, instead of jumping on here, what I wanted to do all day long, I was fuming like, I'm going to come home and I'm just going to rip into this guy on this video. And then I sat down and this is what has come out. Instead of ripping into somebody, what I'm going to say is, Jahlon, if you ever see this, man, if you do, I know right now you probably still think you're right in all this. You're not. And I think that the overwhelming response from the community will show you that you're not, but it may take you some time to get there. I've heard that you're going to step away from Ash's content creation, and I honestly hope that you don't do that. Well, maybe you need to now. Just like I had to get away from Star Wars for a long time before I was able to come back and lead a raid team and not be that way.
I agree with this to a degree. I don't know if he should step away from doing Ash's content. I don't even watch his content, but being the other big guy in the space, right, from what I've learned, that's also damaging the community in a way, I think, at least. Because he's already, he provides a lot of insight, and Narc even said, like, when he's on, providing good insight. I wish the best of this guy to come to the conclusion that, hey, maybe I was a dick for that. And it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a very hard pill to swallow. But if he does, and he can go back to the community and be like, look, that was a dick move. Like, for sure. I think that would be a massive W for him, and he would have so many more people on his side for it. If he is not able to take that pill, then yeah, I mean, he needs to take a break. He just needs a timeout session. Maybe he got a little heated, but I truly hope, for the sake of the community, which, as I've said before, that's really all that matters in this, that he doesn't, and he's able to come to that conclusion.
Towards my friends, or at least not to that degree. You may need to step away for a little while, but I hope that you can step back and realize, okay, I got too big for my britches. I was one of the bigger creators in a tiny little community, and I let it go to my head, and I started treating people in a way that's not okay to treat people. Mm-hmm. And you come back and you better that up, and you change the way that you present your message to people, because the reality is that you are smart. You're very, very, very smart, and you see things in ways that other people don't see them, and you present information to people that they otherwise would not have thought of, or would have, a conclusion that they never would have come to or whatever. But you put that in a package that's untenable for most people. And I hope you learn how to repackage that and then be, what would you call it? A boon or a blessing to the Ashes of Creation community, instead of what I see, and almost everybody that I know that talks about you, and I'm talking about almost everybody, is like, holy crap, that guy is toxic as hell. And I hope you're able to come.
Yeah, I mean, that he needs to ask himself what I just said. How would you want somebody talking about you behind a closed door, behind your back? Because people are going to do that. And if it's, oh, that guy's an asshole, he's toxic, if you disagree with him, he just has nothing negative to say, and he never can, have a good argument. It's always, you're right, or I'm right, you're wrong, get out of my chat, blah, blah, blah. Or do you want to be the guy that says, yeah, like, I agree and disagree with some of his stuff, but, I can see where he's coming from with a lot of those takes, and at least he's good to talk to. Is it like, who do you want to be? Which person do you want to be?
Come back from that. We're in America. We love a good comeback story. So instead of coming on here and being a jerk, I wanted to say that. I wanted to tell you guys the thing that I've never told anybody out loud, that I'm the one that killed my own guild with my own arrogance. So yeah, that's all I have for this one, guys. I'll see y'all in the next one.
That was a really good video. I'm gonna link it to you guys. I'm actually gonna subscribe to this guy. So he seems like he's pretty level-headed fella. Let me see some of these comments. Well said and great positive message. True. Takes a lot to be a bigger man in the conflict and more to self-reflect. Yeah, like I said, I hope the other content creator can really pick it up and swallow that pill. And like, he did it for something he didn't even need to, but that kind of stuff is like a personal journey for sure, and I'm happy he was able to do that and come to terms with that, and I think he's going to be a better person for it. Awesome video, guys. I would check out some of his more stuff. I'm probably going to look at some of his Ashes of Creation content, and so there you go.